what do you do with them? You either keep them warm, or you'll call your friend who happens to work at a direct competitor and say, hey, look, I have this happens all the time. There's really good candidate walk in today. We don't have anything for him. Real impressed. Hope you can find a home for him. I get quite a few of those emails every day through the Entertainment Human Resources Network. I don't know if anyone here is a member. It's like, why are you giving your direct competitors your candidates? Those are who you need to start building into a social media community. Because if you don't have a job for them now, you can always stay in touch with them in a really easy way. When they do become a candidate, let me give you a good example of something to do when you're setting those expectations. Every applicant tracking system has a requisition number. So like if it's Brasser, it'd be BR91304. Put a little hashtag in front of it. Say, I'm going to be telling you when interviews are starting if you're selected. I am going to tell you any details that I find out about the job, and I'm going to tell you when it's closed. It's up to you to follow that hashtag, and the last tweet on that hashtag will be when the position's been filled. Right? Then you've taken away accountability. You've also taken away a lot of phone calls, because if they want that information, they're going to know where to go find it. Do the same thing on Facebook. Say, thank to all people who applied. Position's been filled. If your policy allows it, link to the person who got the job. That shows that somebody real got it. It was not a fake job posting or a fake position, which if you look at an aggregator, about 1/3 of those positions on there at any one point in time were to a dead job posting. So that's really a good way to combat the black hole, show transparency, but still keep that gatekeeper up there. And then what you'll find is when you do have those job descriptions that come through, you have built the modicum of trust. They're going to be looking at it, they're going to be sharing it, and then you've essentially empowered a talent community that's highly niched, highly specialized, probably looks a lot like you're being an executive search for a firm right now. And then you are going to have an external applicant tracking system that's also going to be visible and engageable for your current employee base. And that right there is what differentiates you from your competitor. And that's what gets, as we said, the ultimate goal: better talent, faster, more strategically, and more aligned with your company culture. We can't track quality of hire, but what we can track is how these relationships and how this background works to transform a cultural match into a job match. And that, when the culture and the candidate fit, that is quality of hire, even if you can't put a number on it. So I know it's definitely a lot of information, a lot of ambiguities. That's what happens in social media. It's still being discovered. Are there any specific questions that I can answer for people? Yes.
In trying to manage the Twitter, is it necessary to have a blog to make your Twitter more effective, or?
No. What I would suggest doing, though, is if you're in Outlook in particular, or if you use Gmail, is to start using RSS feeders. And what those are, if you've ever seen that big orange button that appears at the side of the page. Anyway, so what those do is it's going to email you an alert every single time a blog or a website gets posted on. So what I would recommend doing is finding 10, 15 Harvard Business Review, MIT Sloan's blog, direct competitors, thought leaders, things of that nature, and then just tweet out that content, and it'll work in directly into your workflow within Outlook or Gmail if you are using Google Docs or that sort of appendage. It'll also link directly to your Monster profile, or to the candidate's Monster profile as well. So I want to follow, and you'll see I'm following right now the Cool Jobs hashtag TChat, which is our talent chat that we have with job seekers and recruiters every Tuesday night. HR Demo is a show that's going on right now in Vegas that they're showcasing a bunch of HR technologies at. Following those is a really easy way to sort through Twitter and also find people who are gonna be interested in the function or role. So if you type IT talent, just type in information tech or IT or CIO. The nice thing is Twitter recognizes Boolean search, Facebook does not. But to set up some of those parameters and be able to find out who those candidates are, It's really valuable. The other thing I would say with hashtags is use the same hashtags for all of your job-related tweets or everything that you're doing across the company. Because if you can standardize those hashtags, then you can draw a lot of metrics from those that you're not going to be able to otherwise go. When I'm telling you these reach and impression metrics, those are all coming directly because I penned everything with the related hashtag. So that's why I'm saying it's also a pretty good talent acquisition strategy if you're doing it on a rec by rec basis. Because using a free tool, we like free, called tweetreach.com, I can go in and I can find out what the reach is, what the impressions are for any hashtag out there. So, and that's a very powerful business case to be able to make with your hiring manager or whoever has the P&L decision making for your budget, because it's free. Does that answer the hashtag question? And then one other element I think I missed was on the blog. I would highly recommend a blog as the core of your social media presence. A lot of companies already have the foundations for it. When you go to the career sites and you click on the About Us or Work Here or Careers tab, you get things like what we look for in a resume, what we look for in a candidate, job search best practices, what to do in an interview. So you already have the makings of some of that content there. I guess work is build that out. It should, if you use like a WordPress platform in particular, it'll integrate with any HTML or Flash-driven career site. So you can easily funnel this sort of content in there with a blog. You can also take some of those RSS feeds that I talked about and automatically sync stories in there. So let's say one of your employees has a blog, and he blogs about being a police officer in Los Angeles. Then you just sync that in there, it'll automatically populate, and then you'll have a little bit of visibility. The other thing that I would highly recommend is take a conversation like this and use that as the foundation to a blog post. So what I like to call a position blog. And what that's going to do is it's going to kind of take you behind the job description. And it's going to feature those same questions you ask your hiring manager. What are you looking for that's not on a resume? What's the most special thing about your department? What's the culture like? Because the culture will switch between the department to department in most large companies. What's your management style and vision? Why is this role open? Just take some very simple questions. Build a template. Take that framework and build it into your process. And you have blog content that's specifically giving more information than information that you're designing, as opposed to, let's say, a forum on Indeed or on Glassdoor.com about what it's like to work there. You're doing that, and you're in control, and you're also giving some content to share and help drive applies in addition to just the job postings. So that's generally the easiest way to institute an employer branding blog. Any other questions? Yes.
You talked about getting all the employees to engage in social media, not being afraid to empower them to do so. I mean, we kind of have a situation where we're trying. It's so touchy. Nobody wants to be first, kind of like, well, I don't want to say something stupid, or I don't. How do you get them to engage? The people who are already in the company.
I'm going to get to almost every single permit, and this is a huge issue, and that's getting buy-in, because people are afraid, and it's not only HR that's afraid. What I would recommend is making sure that you have a clear policy in place with clear repercussions and ways to enforce that. Almost every company in here probably has some form of existing communication policy. Use that as the fundamental foundation, since your employees are already sending emails outside, they're already doing this dev work and stuff like that. Use that policy that's already in existence, they've already signed, they've already been onboarded, and just extend social media out through that. What you're going to get into trouble with is writing a policy specifically dealing with employee social media use. It's so different now than it was even 6 months ago. You have new tools, new technologies. To be able to anticipate that, you're never going to be able to launch a policy. So make it as broad as possible to anticipate some of those while still giving enough specificity to make people feel comfortable. And you should be okay. The thing is that there's not a lot of precedent when it comes to employment law and social media, other than unionization and the labor relations issues. So if you're not working in a sector where that's a huge candidate pool for you, then it's all wild territory. What has been upheld repeatedly through precedent is employee communications. in the workplace. So use those as your guide. Use your policy as the framework. Any other questions? No? Cool. So if you have any follow-ups, a couple ways to reach me. My name is Matt Charney. That's matt.charney@monster.com. You can tweet at me. It's probably the fastest way. I'm either at monster_works or at Matt Charney, all one word. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. Type my name. I'm the first person who comes up. And that's probably the easiest ways to reach me. So I would normally have a slide again. I know. So again, I really appreciate your taking the time. I appreciate our intrepid volunteer and everything that her employees do to keep the city safe, and for everything you guys do to keep the country safe, and for all that you guys do to keep your employees happy. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. Really appreciate all the valuable information regarding the evolution of social recruiting and how it's changing our lives. The ambiguity is definitely present. This is the first thought leadership that Monster is sponsored with the Los Angeles newspaper group. There we go, a little better. There are going to be upcoming events. Actually, next month we've got Women in Leadership taking place June 22nd at the Ontario Doubletree. There's something on the table to give you some more information. But reach out to your appropriate account rep at the Los Angeles newspaper group for more information. Thank you, Matt, so much for attending this and sharing your insight. We do appreciate it. Thank you all. We do have validation passes for you, so as you exit, we're picking up your parking tab. Make sure you grab that before you leave. Again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. Appreciate your presence.
You can do more harm with a gun than you can with Twitter. Right.